Hey T Squad, it's your girl Keisha, and I'm here tonight with my All Tea, All Shade Love and Marriage DC Season 1, Episode 4 review. Okay, so in tonight's episode, we start off exactly where we left off last week with Irena, Ashley, Tasha, and Winter out having lunch with each other. And at this point, the girls just agreed to try to get along for the get along at this point. So then the conversation continues on, and Irena says that she and Jamie have both cheated on each other in the past. Ashley says that before she and Quick got married, they both cheated, but now they're in a really good space and everything, and that there is no proof that he's done anything despite the rumors that swirl around them. So Winter in her confession was looking like, oh, really? So Winter asks her, is that a deal breaker for you as long as you don't hear about it? And Ashley was like, I'm not going to look for anything. And so Irena in her confessional says, I agree with her, as long as I don't see or hear it, I'm good. And I was very shocked to basically hear both of them say that, because I feel as though if you feel that way, you might as well just allow them to cheat. But the stipulation is just don't let that shit get out in the street so I don't get embarrassed, because it really sounds like that's all you're saying is you can cheat, but don't let it get out in the street so bitches won't be talking about me and I won't be embarrassed. But other than that, you pretty much got to go ahead to do whatever the fuck you want to do. And that's fine. But you know what I'm saying? I was shocked to hear that it's basically like don't ask, don't tell pretty much. I couldn't live that way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like being blind to the fact that you know your husband is doing wrong, but as long as it stays quiet, it's okay. I just couldn't live that way, me, myself personally. And especially with both of them having daughters, I was shocked that they said that too, because that's the type of lifestyle that you want your daughters to have. You know what I'm saying? That type of mindset. That threw me and blew me. I'm gonna be honest with you. So Ashley, we see her go to see Quick's manager about his schedule, because she often has to do that in order to basically pin herself in, because he's always busy and they haven't been really getting a lot of time together, and she's lonely. So her and the manager speak, and she says that Quick works a lot to cope, I guess, with his past or whatever. Hopefully we'll get more into that. You know, we learned, I think that was episode 2, that, you know, he was out in the streets and stuff. He has gotten shot and stabbed and all these different things. So maybe he's running away from those traumas. So she says that when he is at home, all he does is sleep, like, because he's so tired. He needs that rejuvenation. But she also wants him to spend time with her and their children. And she brings up the fact that he has had multiple car accidents, and that, you know, he act like he got 9 lives, and life don't work that way. So Quick comes in and joins the conversation, and, you know, Ashley is telling him, you know, you're going to have to slow down. Like, if anything ever happened to you, I don't know what I would do. And says, you know, he said that in the beginning of his career, he was going to outwork everybody, but he promises next year that they will out vacation everyone. And so her and the manager hold him to that. You know, it's great to work hard, because I'm a workaholic. I work hard too. But I also have the mindset of you have to work hard and you have to play hard. I work really hard for a certain amount of months, and then I'll allow myself to enjoy the fruits of my labor as well. And I think that Quick needs to find that balance of, you know, taking care of his responsibility, but also making time for the people that love him and want to spend time with him, because before you know it, you're going to look up and your children are going to be grown out the house and not wanting to spend time with you. Your wife will have felt abandoned at some point and get tired and want to leave your ass. And you can't die with the money. It ain't going with you to heaven. So enjoy the fruits of your labor while you still can. So Jason, Irena and Jamie's son, is trying to get into a program called Doors. And it is a program that helps, you know, people with disabilities, or it might just be exclusively to people with blindness, to live, lives on their own and be self-sufficient and further their education. And he really wants to get into this school because he don't want to be in the house anymore. And he tells his mom that he wants to actually work for Apple. He does not want to be a DJ. And he says in his confession that he feels bad because everyone else around him is working and living their lives, and he pretty much is just stuck. So that's why he wants to learn how to be self-sufficient and live on his own and have a career and, things of that nature. And that is accessible for people in his position. There are so many people that are blind that live on their own, that know how to cook for themselves, clean for themselves. There's so many apps and different programs and things that will help in that area. And so I think even outside of this Doors program that he's trying to get into, there's so many other avenues to go down as well to get him where he needs to be. My mom, as I told Irena and Jamie during my interview with them, used to work for the Missouri School for the Blind here in St. Louis. So she used to, help the parents even outside of school with their children and stuff, with sign language and all of these different things. That was for deaf students, of course. But, there's so many different programs you can put, people with disabilities to help them learn how to have self-sufficient lives. So I'm rooting for Jason because it tugs on my heartstring because I grew up around children with disabilities and I never looked at them like they were any different than me, because I was taught better. And so I just see the hungriness in him and how he just wants to be treated as a normal person. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the family needs to listen to him. And even with Irena, I feel as though she listens to him, but she still kind of folds on him too as well a little bit. And I'll get into that in a second. So, he tells his mom that Jamie is basically forcing him to do this DJing thing, and that's not what he wants to do. And he used to love music because he used to play instruments, but that's not where his passion resides anymore. And he says that, if he's the one that tells his father, all Jamie's going to do is get upset. So he wants her to tell him, but she's like, nah, you need to talk to him. And she was like, when we have dinner, you can bring it up then. So even in this instance, like I said, she's not listening to him. Like, he's telling her he's only going to get mad if I bring it up or we talk about a period. He only going to get mad or whatever. And I feel like she should have waited until he was comfortable enough to talk to him on his own about it. So then we skip to Winter and Irena meeting up this little cute little restaurant. It was so cute. I love the whole aesthetic. And they meet up to have their little one-on-one because Irena says that she wants to get to know Winter, for Winter and on her own. So as soon as they sit down, from what we were shown, Irena asks, are things resolved with Winter and Ashley? With Winter and Ashley. And Winter in her confession was like, I thought she was here to get to know me. Why is she bringing up Ashley? Like, it feels like Irena is playing both sides of the fence and that she should just stick to getting to know me. And I understood where she was coming from, but at the same token, we're on a reality show and we need to catch up to see where things are. So I saw where both women were coming from with the questions and with the response. So Winter was just like, pretty much, we talked about it when we were there and I'm just going to leave it at that and we're going to keep it pushing. So the topic of cheating comes up and Irena clarifies that when she cheated on Jamie in the past, it was just via social media. Her and this person would DM each other and stuff like that. It was never anything sexual. They never met up in person or anything like that. It was pretty much, from what I'm guessing, an emotional affair. And Irena says that she did it because, she was lonely. He wasn't really paying her any attention. He was going out all the time. She would call his phone back to back to back to back. He wouldn't answer. When he would answer, he would say he fell asleep at the stoplight and he drunk and this and the third. And she says that when she would ask him, was he cheating, Jamie would deny it and everything. I mean, because, who's going to be like, yeah, I'm cheating on you unless you just don't give a fuck. So Irena then says that she wonders if if him cheating in the past was her fault. And Winter was like, how you figure it was your fault? Like, huh? Like, so she was like, because, I'm always busy and stuff like that. And she says their sex life has been lacking. And she says that he doesn't do foreplay on her anymore. It's basically he just want to bend her over some wham bam, thank you ma'am type shit. And she need that to get her engine revved up. And I've been there before, so I understood exactly where she was coming from. So Winter was like, oh girl, I got somebody that can help you, a sex therapist. Let's get into it. And so Irena was like, oh yes, I would love to talk to whoever this person is. And I think that honestly a sex therapist would help them, because even Irena admitted that her sex drive is low right about now, but it's only low because Jamie isn't, doing the foreplay and like getting her, seduced and ready or whatever. And his is really high right about now. But I think men fail to realize that with women, yeah, we like the wham bam, thank you ma'am stuff. We like that just to get to it. But we also like to be seduced. We also like to be romanced. And sex and intimacy starts in the brain first. So it starts, if you really want that shit to go down, it starts in the morning. You telling me I'm beautiful. Leave me some flowers. Leave me a post-it note on the mirror while I'm getting ready. Hit me up while I'm at work. Send me lunch to work. Just doing thoughtful things throughout the day to let me know that you're thinking about me and you care. Give me a hug. Ask me how my day was. Massage my feet, run me a bath, and then I'm gonna be ready to do that skullduggery on your ass, my nigga. Shit. We gonna get this shit popping. You know what I'm saying? And I think men tend to forget that when they have been in long-term relationships, and in marriages especially, or long-term relationships, you have to keep the spark going. You have to figure out new ways to excite each other, because the shit that used to work in the past don't work 10 years later. So Winter's hair, let's talk about it. Cassie was the one that, really got that hairstyle kicking off in the late 2000s. And I don't think it's a bad look on Winter. I think that Winter has a pretty enough face to pull it off, because she's a very beautiful woman. But I would love to see Winter with my haircut, with a short blonde buzz cut. Oh my God. Because when I was looking at the side of her hair that was shaved off, and when they would do like a front view of her, and I was just looking at her face, she would look really cute with a bald head, especially with some color. Yes, ma'am. You got it here first. Winter, listen to me. You look cute with both, with long and short hair. But I want to see you with a full bald head. I think that shit would be fly as fuck on you. So then we get to the Tylers at dinner, and Irena kicks shit off right from the get-go about the whole DJing conversation. And Jason said in his confessional he wished he wouldn't have did that, because he wished he could have talked to his daddy one-on-one. And once again, this goes back to me feeling as a viewer like even she doesn't really listen to what he has to say. You know what I'm saying? Allow him the opportunity to get comfortable enough to talk to his father, because Jamie seems like he can be very intimidating. You know what I'm saying? And not a person that's easy to talk to. But the conversation is here now. So Jason goes on to explain to his daddy that, he wants to go to school, and he doesn't really want to do the whole DJing thing. And Jamie was like, well, I want to be able to brag on my kids and show people that, even though he has a disability, you can do this, that, and the third. I want to see him in the magazines and on billboards. That's what you want, sir. That's not what your son wants. That's the life, I guess, you wanted for yourself, that you have for yourself. But that's not what he wants for himself. You have to allow your children to be who they want to be, to do what they want to do, because you never know what he wants to do might be the thing that lands him in magazines and billboards, but it's just going about it in a totally different way. So Jamie was like, well, what's your plan B then? Because we know school is your plan A, so what's your plan B? And Jason was like, I want to be independent, and then Lil Jamie jumps in and he was like, well, how you gonna be independent if you ain't got no job, you ain't got no money? He was like, I want to get girls. And he was like, well, how you gonna get girls if you ain't got no money and stuff like that? And so that's when Jason was like, he want to work for Apple or whatever. And Big Jamie was like, I ain't never heard him say that before in his life or whatever. And I was like, well, he's saying it now. Listen to the boy. He's saying it now. So with you all being his parents that have, the financial means to be able to get him to where he needs to be. Okay, you want to work in computers and stuff. Let's find a program that teaches blind, people with blindness how to work computer programs and things of that nature. The computer can talk back to you nowadays. They already got the braille on the keys. Okay, that's what you want to do. Now we got to set a game plan for us to go down this road. And then, especially since we're still waiting on you to get into door, okay, let's try to find a different program to get you in until you can get you into that. Or let's find somebody that can come here and physically help you. Or let's find another program or a school that you can go to during the day so you can get out the house since you don't like being in the house. There's so many different ways to do things. So Brittany, their daughter, then jumps into the conversation, was like, I wish I would have known that we could talk like this before I went off to school and stuff. She was like, because I always felt like I had to do what y'all wanted me to do. I never got to figure out what it is that I personally wanted to do. And that goes to say a lot, that they're putting too much pressure on their children to live the lives that they want for them. So they're raising kids or young adults that don't really know what they like or dislike or what they could be good at. So I think with this show, this will be a good learning opportunity for them to see that they need to pull the reins back and listen to their children and try to help them as best as they can to realize their dreams and not their parents' dreams. So at this point, Jamie is frustrated and he like, I'm out of it. Don't ask me nothing, which is the wrong way to go about things. And this goes to show why Jason didn't want to talk to him about how he felt. Jamie has to understand that he just can't blow up when it ain't his way and it's basically the highway. You know what I'm saying? He has to learn how to compromise and listen. So then the Tylers go on a double date with the Silvers. Jamie tells Quick that Jason does no longer want to go to his DJing school and, he wants to do something different. And Quick, gives him the same advice I'm giving, like, let that boy be. Stop trying to push what you want to push on him and let him be. And I respect Quick for that. I really do. Quick, I can say, has a really good level head when it comes to parenting from what we've seen thus far. So Irena tells them about her meeting with Winter and how she told, Winter that her and Jamie's sex life hasn't been that great here lately. So Quick, like, when was the last time y'all had sex? Y'all sex like that bad? Jamie at this point is embarrassed, because Jamie is that nigga in the streets. He that dude, you know what I'm saying? Everybody know who he is. He fly, he handsome. They the perfect couple. They got it going on. They got the perfect house, cars, businesses. So the world knowing he ain't hitting his wife like that is not a good look. So homeboy was embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? So, Irena says that, the reason why they haven't been having sex for real because he's not affectionate. And she tells them that Winter suggested this sex therapist and that she really wants to do it. He, however, feels like they don't need a sex therapist because his libido is high. It's her that's the problem. But like she said to him, like, you don't be trying to, really get in there and be affectionate towards me. And Jamie in his confessional is pissed because he feels like she talked too much and she tell too much of their business. And I was like, well, sir, you signed up to be on a reality show where you have to talk about your life. So if you ain't want the world knowing about y'all business, you shouldn't have signed up for this show, sir. Like, and maybe this is her way of finally, it's a fucked up way to do it, but maybe it's her way of shaming you into listening to her and what her wants and needs are. So, he then says that he tries to have foreplay with her, but when he try to eat that box, she always shutting him down. And I was like, well, why she shut them down? And I think she said because in her confession, she said that he ain't working that mouth like he used to. And I was like, Jamie, what that mouth do? What that mouth do, homeboy? So I was like, shit, you need to learn some new techniques. That's why you need to go to the motherfucking sex therapist. But then it's also a thing of, yeah, it's cool you want to eat me out or whatever, but are you paying attention to any other part of my body? Like, what's going on here? But the same needs to be said for Irena. You have to please him in other ways too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all both need to just work on the shit. Y'all both need to at this point. So Ashley thinks that Irena blames herself for Jamie cheating because she ain't fucking him. And I was like, well, that could be a thing, Ashley. I agree. So at the end of the episode, the Samuels are back from their trip to Africa. And I think Monique was in their bedroom unpacking or something. And they're having a whole conversation about the trip and everything. And she's asking him questions. And he says something. I can't remember what he said. But at this point, she gets an attitude because she says that he's never vulnerable with her. And that he only gives her pieces of himself. And he says that they're both on this spiritual journey, but she might be a little bit ahead of him and that she needs to give him time to catch up. And she was like, it's just getting to the point now where I'm tired of even saying the same thing over and over again when it comes to you, that at this point, it's a lot of shit that you do that I don't even say nothing about. And he was like, it's a lot of shit that you do that I don't say nothing about. And so she was like, okay then. And so she just shut down at that point. And so he tries to change the subject to talking about her mom, and she don't want to talk no more. So he was like, shit, I guess that's the end. We can wrap it up for today, y'all. And so he walks out the room, and one of the producers sit to try to talk to him, and that's where we left off on the cliffhanger. Now, I saw a lot of people on social media saying that Monique is basically a bitch towards him, and that she don't love him, and that she's always looking for an argument or a fight, and that they're not a good part of the show, and that they're just not giving what they thought they were going to give. They're getting really negative feedback on social media. I will say, for me personally, when it comes to Monique and Chris being on the show, I don't miss them. I'm gonna be honest with you. Though these past 2 episodes where there was just a little bit of them on the show, when they did come on the show, it wasn't like, oh, I'm excited to see them. You know what I'm saying? Which is a bad thing when y'all supposed to be the flagship couple. I do feel like also that, but Monique said in her interview with Carlos that she was hesitant about when they started filming because her and Chris were going through such a bad time. And she was scared about starting to film right then and there because they were going through such a bad time. She wanted to push filming back some, but they couldn't. So, and I think that people always love to just blame the woman, especially a black woman. They always want to say, we the problem, our attitude, our mouth, and we don't love it. And a lot of people got this thing where a pretty woman can't be with a man that's okay looking and that may be a bigger guy. And it's just automatically she using him for his money or something like that. And people need to stop that. They really honestly do. I do believe that Monique does love Chris, and I do believe that Chris does love Monique. I think that they just are at this rough patch in their marriage where, once again, you have to transition as a couple, ebbs and flows. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago when you got married. It's a lot of things in the beginning that you will brush off or push underneath the table or underneath the rug to keep the peace. But at some point, those things pile up, and those desires or things that bother you grow. You know what I'm saying? And they need to be talked about. So who is it for us to say that her feelings aren't valid, that he's not vulnerable, that he doesn't do the things that she asked him to do? He even admitted that, she had asked him to do stuff and he'll push it to the side because he himself doesn't feel like it's that important, but it's important for her. And then it could be a thing on his end where he feel like she complained too motherfucking much. She nagged too goddamn much. I know I've been told in the past that I complained too goddamn much and I had to learn. You know what I'm saying? So I think people need to give them grace, but I do think that we need to see more of the fun side of the Samuels and not just all of this bickering back and forth. Because right about now, the standout couples for me on this show are the other 2 couples. You know what I'm saying? I wish we got to see more of Tasha and Neil, but they are just friends to the show. But I love their dynamic and they're so funny, and we're not getting to see any of that on the show because they are hilarious. I love them on the show. So Carlos, I know you watch my reviews. Can you please give us more of Tasha and Neil, please? They are so cute and funny. I want to see that dynamic more on the screen, especially give you guys some behind the scenes tea, Tasha went live after last week's episode saying that, you know, she was in all of those scenes, but they just aren't showing her. And she said at that dinner that Ashley actually kind of offended her and that they was going back and forth. So it wasn't just a thing of her jumping on Winter's bandwagon. She felt like Ashley was being like, you know, kind of abrasive towards her with whatever it was that they kind of was having words about. So we didn't get to see any of that. So on next week episode, when they have this big blow up and Tasha's name is involved, we won't really know to the extent of what really happened because they're not showing us what happened. But anywho, that's my review of Love and Marriage DC. Tonight's episode, I really loved it because of Jason. Jason was the heart and the soul of this episode. Hopefully after seeing this episode and the feedback from the audience, because everybody has fallen in love with Jason on social media, on Twitter, everybody was going up for him. Hopefully that will change how he's being treated and how people listen to him and value what he has to say. So for that, I give this episode an A+ because he was a breakout star for me tonight. Let's talk down below in the comment section. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.